And welcome to the Comic Corner. My name is Damon. I am your host, and what we do here is comic book news, reviews, and interviews. And today I have my buddy AF with me. How you doing, man?
Dude, I'm doing great. I'm doing quite good. The weather is starting to change. It's starting to get a bit cooler over here in Cape Town, and yeah, I think I'm ready to put summer behind me. So bring it on. How are you?
I'm fine. Some of like my highlights of the week have just been kind of like watching the new Spider-Man show, which I very graciously kind of started calling Marvel's version of My Adventures with Superman. So if you enjoy My Adventures with Superman and you're kind of on the same page with that, yeah.
100%.
Yeah, where it's like, it's very different, but also a lot of the same and good feel vibes. The art style I love, the animation comes and goes. There's moments where like this looks great, like animation wise, the action sequences is other times where it's more of like two characters talking and a head turns, and because of like the 3D rendering of 2D characters, it's like but all that aside, we're here to talk about comics. If you want to hear our full thoughts on this Spider-Man show, Your Friendly Neighborhood Spider-Man, we actually do a live reaction of it every single Wednesday. So we are recording on a Thursday. Obviously, we are not live like we have been. We are here on Saturday when this drops. So go check those out on Wednesdays when those episodes come out. We are here to talk about our new comics of the week, our new favorite comics of the week. So you like to talk about things that we enjoy. And let's get into the rundown. Where is Jimmy? AF, where is Jimmy? Absolute Superman number 4 came out this week. And yes, spoiler, everybody, we got our first look at Absolute Jimmy Olsen. What is he up to in this Absolute universe? Not so much as you expect, but still some of the same Jimmy moments throughout. It's about power, man. It's actually kind of funny. They make that exact same line in this issue. And prior to me even reading this issue of The Ultimates, Power Man somehow got brought up, and I made that exact same type of like line or joke about it, and then the Power Man line came up in the book. I was like, haha, I made that bit 10 hours ago. And it is time. Oof. We are both fans of Stephanie Phillips on the show as a writer, and one of my favorite books of hers is Grimm, and it has come back after several months of cooking, boiling. It's the same creative team, much like how Something is Killing the Children is the same creative team. They'll take little months breaks in between to catch up to make sure they have their stories told and consistently told. Last issue came out in October. It is February, and it's a great book. But first, I want to get into some news, and it's a little bit of like, I'm hoping the official news doesn't come out by the time this episode drops. But it started, some things kind of flew under the radar a month ago. This came out in January, where Marvel released what their free comic book day issue will be. It is a Fantastic Four issue / giant-sized X-Men issue. And sprinkled in there, AF, is a return of a writer who has not been with Marvel for about a year or so, sprinkled in this issue, guaranteed for a little surprise. Who do you think that is?
Oh, hasn't been with Marvel for about a year.
Mm-hmm.
Oh man, I'm racking my brain right now.
He
Okay,
just
put me out of my
finished
misery.
he just finished his book with DC this week that came out, and it's Batman. It's Chip Zdarsky.
Oh
Sounds like he'll be
wow!
making a return to Marvel. Hopefully, this is announced by the time this episode comes out. But I just want to hear instant, quick guess on a book you want to see Chip Zdarsky take on at Marvel if he's returning.
Gambit.
Oh, a Gambit
I've seen
series?
that.
You're in for another X book.
He would write the crap out of Gambit. It would be amazing.
That's a good take. I haven't heard that one yet. We've all been kind of, us at the comic shop, when we have been discussing if Chip Zdarsky were to return to Marvel, what would he do? This is a guy, obviously, who had just came off of Batman. So anything else after that,
Yeah.
is a step in a different direction. My first want is just because I enjoy this character as a Doctor Strange book, and I think he would put a very interesting twist on Strange. I don't know if he would do that. The internet, however, this isn't even a me request. The internet, however, the folks on the League of the Comic Geeks community pages, guess who they want Chip Zdarsky to write if he, and it sounds like he will return.
Wolverine?
No, there's already a Wolverine book. So this has to be a character that doesn't have a book out right now. And it's a favorite of mine. It is Hawkeye. A lot of folks really want him to take
Oh,
on
wow.
Hawkeye. It would be very poetic because obviously him and his good friend Matt Fraction wrote like the Hawkeye run. Who would be the guy to take that run head on and be like, let's see if I can do it better? Chip Zdarsky would be a great pick.
That sounds like a good shout. But when is this supposed to happen?
Oh, we don't like maybe we're already at least in the solicits for the May ones just came out, so this wouldn't be until summer or later.
Yeah, because like that's the only reason why I said Wolverine, because he can come in and he can take over another book. Or does this mean that he's going to start something brand new from a number one?
Yeah, it could be. I would imagine so. Either that or some sort of ultimate line. Regardless, with all our little theories in the air and whether they actually happen or not, I am very excited to have Chip Zdarsky back on a Marvel book. I just really enjoy Chip Zdarsky books. I read the first arc of his Batman run. I'm not like a big Batman reader, but I read the first arc of it. I enjoyed it. I know there were some mixed opinions after it, went into the whole Joker side of things, but I'm a big fan of Chip Zdarsky's work. His last work at Marvel, which was Avengers Twilight, we both raved about it every single month when that book came out. We loved it. So if, and it sounds like he may be coming back on Marvel, at least through this free comic book day issue, the teasing him something. Who knows? I'm all for it. I'm all for it.
That's the timing of dropping this free comic book day line as well. With this week, with the trailer coming out. I think it's amazing.
Oh, there is no coincidence, no accident that the Fantastic Four are headlining this free comic book day issue, a month or 2 months before the movie comes out. That is not an accident. They even say that in the solicit, like in honor of this big movie coming out. It's like, yeah.
Just like the summer of Superman. Like both of these companies, they know what they're doing.
Yep, that they do. Ryan North's run on Fantastic Four has been great, by the way. Has been very, very good. What I've also enjoyed has been the Absolute line of DC Comics, the Absolute and the Ultimate line. I've been saying that these are the two things really pushing DC, really pushing Marvel forward. Marvel specifically, in my opinion. We're starting with Absolute. We're starting with Absolute Superman number 4, written by Jason Aaron, artist Rafa Sandoval, colorist Ulysses Areola, and letterer Becca Carey. You told me earlier I can go into some spoilers. I don't want to get too deep into the spoilers here. However, like I mentioned, we do see Jimmy Olsen in this issue. This is our first look at what Absolute Jimmy Olsen is up to. And it sounds like he is with a group that the Lazarus folks do not like. They are the counteracting agents to the Lazarus folks. I don't want to get too deep into it. However, because that's a bit of a spoiler. However, the whole point of this issue is that Lois is out looking for Superman. She's going to all these people who have helped him, or who he has helped, all throughout the world. And that's what I really love so far about the Superman. He's not just focusing on helping people, like, as we see like in Metropolis and Gotham within like, the DC United States. He is helping the oppressed. He's a champion of the oppressed throughout the entire world, no matter where you are. And I really love that about them. What we have a little bit of a twist in here, those folks who he helped, they are also looking for him. And they can't find him either, because they say when we do, we're going to help him burn the world down. And that's obviously not what Superman is, right?
Yeah.
So I'm really liking the direction of where this is going, because people like these folks who have been treated like garbage, who have been living in these terrible conditions, are rightfully angry. And what I'm seeing going forward is we're going to have this Superman figure, they're going to look to him and they're like, yes, now burn it down. And he's just going to be like, no, that's not what we do. Right. And he's going to look at it as a symbol of hope. He is angry, though. You could see the anger in it because no matter where he goes in this world, the Lazarus people, this Lazarus group, are just terrible. Their peacemaker police force are terrible. And they do terrible things to these people, these oppressed people all throughout the world. So they are rightfully angry. But I just like that direction of it. I could see where we're going with it. I still like more with all these Absolute books, with the exception of Absolute Wonder Woman. So with Batman and Superman, I still enjoy it more when we go back and I see like the early days of Kal-El on Krypton. I like that stuff a little bit more, but this issue, I'm starting to see where we're going for throughout the entire storyline with Superman. I'm interested in that.
Yeah, so like I told you off stream that I've only read the first two, so I have some catching up to do. But I like from what you are saying, like I think the direction is amazing. Like I I like this title is so good and it's so different, and it just feels like there's so much pain and there's so much like hurt that this Kal-El has been feeling all this time, and he's trying to look for a home. He's trying to look for a place where he belongs. And like obviously, I haven't come like into anything that's happened in the last two issues, but from what I've read up until I'm enjoying this title. I'm enjoying the direction that it's going, and it feels Jason Aaron, like it feels like a
Yes.
Jason Aaron comic book, and I like that. There's a lot of grit in there. There's a lot of profound takes, and like I'm enjoying it.
He did say, I remember I saw him at Terrificon, our comic
Yeah,
convention here in Connecticut, which is fantastic. We already have some amazing guest lineup this year. So go to this convention. It's absolutely worth it. The best comic book convention here in the Northeast by far. He mentions they're at a panel for the DC All In initiative that he wanted this book to be his DC version of the Jane Foster type story, how it had that
ooh,
much weight, that much importance and emotion to it, how much that story means to so many people around the world. He wants this Superman story to be that for more, for Superman fans. And when he said that, I said, okay, that's going to be, my vision for this going forward. And I can start to see the groundwork for that. We're obviously a long way away from any big major revelation. That's good. I want my
for sure.
books to not run to it. I want it to simmer because that's how a good risotto is made. You got to let it simmer. It can't just be done in a matter of minutes. You have to let it cook all day. So I'm enjoying this book. I think if you're a Superman fan, you will also enjoy this book. For new comic book
I
readers, this
so
absolute universe, let me at least finish this. This absolute universe is much different than the ultimate universe. And I'll get to that in a little bit too, because this absolute universe feels more chaotic evil than what the ultimate universe is, where the maker made everything was very precise with how he made things. It's a very organized evil.
yeah, so I've spoken to a couple of Superman comic book fans,
Mhm.
and there are actually a couple of them that are not a fan of this title because they like the all like happy and sunny and it's a blue
That's fair.
sky
Yeah.
Superman. So because this one is a bit more gritty, it's a bit more gloomy. Um, it's not really up all of their alleys, because some people just want to be reading a happy comic book. Um, so yeah, like if you're a Superman fan, it depends what type of Superman fan you are. If you're going to read all the type of content that comes out, but yeah, it was interesting to hear different takes on it.
I think this will get there. Not so much in the bubblegum colorful way, but
Yeah,
in a light in the darkness type of way. And I imagine by the end of this first arc, whether that be 5 or 6 issues from Jason Aaron, however long it may
yeah,
be, that we will really start to see the importance of that light in the dark, that sense of hope, once again, really reemerge with that. And you see a little pieces of it through these people who were affected. And they said, yes, Lois, you met this man. I know you're reaching out to me because you felt that goodness in you. It changed you inside when you met that. And now you're chasing to feel that again. You get a little bit of that here and there. So as the story progresses, I know it's going to be more prevalent as it goes on.
Yeah.
The Ultimates. As I mentioned earlier, the Absolute Universe is more of a dark, chaotic evil, like with the energies of Darkseid kind of all over the place. This is a very organized evil from the mind of the maker, who he places certain people in power that he knows he can either manipulate or control down to their darkest desire that he can just manipulate on a whim, on a snap of his fingers. And the Ultimates is the universe expanding book. We've described this throughout those last previous 8 issues. This is issue 9, written by Dennis Camp, artist Chris Allen, colors Federico Blee, and letterer Travis Lanham. This book has blown me away from any expectation that myself, and I know TJ Fat Thor, who's usually here, isn't able to be here today. He loves this series as well because of how it is able to take what you know about your Marvel universe, about your Marvel characters, and put them, yes, in a dark setting, but it's a sense of familiarity, but with a twist that reflects the modern times in a way. It's hard to explain. It's a different take on these characters that I haven't seen, almost sort of like how we both really enjoy the Avengers Twilight book, where you take these characters, some of them the same but older, some of them completely new, but you put them in a setting that a lot of people can relate to and just a genuinely good story, and you get to see them come together. This issue focuses all on Luke Cage. And it is a very strong commentary on the prison system here in the United States, mostly. It's a very strong commentary on it, and in your face, not subtle at all. And obviously, because it's the maker's doing, he's able to know, he's like, I need to put this person in this prison. I need to put this person in this prison to make sure they never become who they're supposed to become. Luke Cage, at the age of 15, was put into prison before he was able to get and develop any of his abilities. As we know, with this Ultimate Universe, people start to get their abilities because of a Tony Stark who traveled all throughout time and space to literally hand them something that's able to either activate their abilities or a suit or whatnot. He finally gets this in the prison, is able to bring the power to the people. He's able to free all these people who are wrongfully put into these prisons. And in this case, they were wrongfully put into these prisons because the maker is literally just kind of there being an evil guy. And what I loved about this is at one point throughout all these Ultimate titles, this Iron Man from the future comes back and it says, hey, I gave you your time. Let's go be the Ultimates together. And he said, Luke Cage says, no, I have to finish my work here because there's so many more people I know that need my help directly. And I have my boots on the ground. And Iron Man respects that. So we know in this Ultimate universe right now that Luke Cage is going around revolutionizing all of these imprisonments from one max prison to another max prison to help free them. It's very well done. I really enjoyed it. We get a quick appearance, our first version of another Marvel character, an Ultimate Marvel character, Danny Rand.
Oh, I was literally about to ask, like, do we see Ultimate Iron Fist at all in this issue? Is it just like one panel? Is it
minor character? They have a conversation back and forth. And
do they know each
Danny
other?
Rand, no, Danny Rand kind of knows of this guy. He's like, hey, were you at this prison like long ago? And Luke Cage is kind of like, don't want to talk about it.
How do they say how long he's been in the prison system? Like he was there like since he was 15.
20 years.
That's a long time. But I like that they've still kept his personality though, like the fact that he wants to stay behind and help all these people. They haven't really changed that sort of personality. in the Ultimate Universe. So that's quite cool. Is there any indication of like where this entire thing is going to culminate? Like, I know that you are reading so many different Ultimate titles. Are there any sort of seeds being buried that they are going
Oh,
to all
yes.
come together under one umbrella eventually?
Yes. In all of these issues, at least in the Spider-Man book and in this book, we have our countdown to the Maker's return. So when the Maker had this big war at some point in the Ultimate Invasion book, Maker had this big war with Doom and all this stuff. Hard to explain, weird time travel space shenanigans from Hickman's brain. But essentially, he will be back. He kind of died, put himself into like this time capsule, and he will be back in just a matter of less than a year at this point. We're getting close to the Maker's return and what his return will do to this Ultimate Universe now that people are starting to get their powers and a team, the Ultimates themselves, are rallying together. There is also one big last thing, major spoiler in here, major spoiler, one big last thing at the very end of this book. We know that Tony Stark died at the end of the first arc with the big battle against the Ultimate Hulk, and he's been in a literal iron lung situation since then, also in a coma. Ultimate She-Hulk goes up to him, says some kind words, but at the very end, she's like, my people on my Polynesian island need me. I have to leave. And I know you, Tony Stark. Your people need you too. She leaves. Close up panel, close up panel, close up panel. Eye opens, right? So, hey, Tony Stark's back. But is he going to be a good guy or a bad guy? TJ is on team Doctor Doom is going to be the one who turns. I'm starting to think that maybe Iron Man may be the one who turns. They've been teasing throughout this title that there is a mole, there's someone in the family, in the Ultimates little group, the organization that is going to turn. Who is it going to be? TJ always says, never trust a Reed Richards, but also Iron Man. You never know.
Yeah, you love to see it. I can't wait to hear what you guys have to say about it. And I'll probably read about this on Marvel Unlimited a bit later in the year because I can actually get that now.
Yeah, there you go. Actually, properly worldwide Marvel Unlimited. Speaking of Marvel, the MCU-fication of Marvel Comics is here. This is TVA number 2, written by Catherine Blair, artist Perry Perez, colorist Guru EFX, and letterer Joe Sabino. AF, talk me off a ledge.
So whatever I'm getting, so this is a 5-issue run. I think it's a 5-issue limited series, and I think that they have released this run for a very specific reason. We know all the stuff that's happening in the multiverse, in the MCU, and a part of me thinks that the reason why Kevin Feige keeps on calling the MCU 616 is because it is actually the 616. And this comic book just like it keeps on, like it makes me think. Like I enjoyed the first issue so much better, but
you're talking me more on a ledge right now, by the way. You were not talking me off this.
That's what I'm here to do, Damon. I'm here to try to get you to read this run. Please just do it. So what happens in this one? They end up going to hell to go speak to Damon Hellstrom because there is something that is being sprayed over. Well, I don't know how it's going over to so many different timelines, and people are basically seeing things and they are seeing their biggest fears. And when they're doing that, they are able to see into the TVA as well for some reason. Nobody knows why, nobody knows how. Back in the TVA, I think it was Mobius, B-15, OB, and Captain Carter. I think it was the 4 of them. They remained in the TVA. Mobius is missing Loki a ton. The dude thinks he's seeing Loki everywhere. He's super sad for majority of this issue. There's a call back to Deadpool and Wolverine. So some more MCU-fication over there. they speak about Paradox because Obi makes a comment about, what was it? Oh yeah, a subpar time ripper, and then B15 tells Obi, "We know that you can build it better. You don't have to call it subpar." Because they want to know if it was Paradox that's doing this thing, and B15 just says that no, he's still under lock and key. He still could. And then they asked about General Dox as well from season 2 of Loki, and they were like, nope, it can't be her either. So this issue is going full on MCU, and somehow I just feel that this is the reason why Kevin Feige keeps on calling it the 616, because it is actually the 616. And this comic, the 3 issues that we have left, is probably going to just set the baseline for everything. And I think that this comic series is super important and super vital to an MCU fan. So if you are an MCU fan and you want to get into comics, do this. Get into this comic immediately. Say something, Damon.
Earth 1999999.
Iman Villani, if you are watching this, if you ever see this,
her mind.
if you ever see this, please don't hate me. Like Catherine Blay is like, so this was her first venture into comic book writing, and the dialogue in the show, in the series, is really good. Like I'm enjoying it. The art is great. The colors are great. I don't know. I don't have any problem with this, except for the fact that they are leveraging a lot from the MCU. But I think that there's a reason why.
I think if they're going to do books like this, I am all for MCU specific titles. I think there should be like some sort of like indication of that, like with the Ultimate Universe, right? It could even say, instead of the Marvel logo on the top right, you could say Marvel Studios logo on the top right. I think that would actually bring a lot more eyes to this. My secondary question is this then the Gwen from like the Spider-Verse movies? Is this then the Gambit from Deadpool and Wolverine, or these are just variants throughout Marvel?
So this isn't the Gambit from the Deadpool movie. They said that in the first issue that this is just a variant. And then the Spider-Gwen she's not the one from the Spider-Verse movie. I highly doubt it, because she is from Earth 65. Oh, that actually can make, yeah, that actually could make sense if she is from
this
Earth
is the same
65.
Gwen from Gwen from the Stephanie Phillips series.
Yep, exact same one. So this is, remember in that first issue when I said that Obi was a handler, like Obi took her over to the 616, and then these 5 issues are the reason why she ends up going to the 616, because nobody knows why she's on the 616 Earth at the moment. So these 5 issues will probably just explain it all.
I will say one thing. I don't want to spoil anything through solicits. I have seen the solicits for the TVA book, and I will be very annoyed if the ramifications of MCU storytelling hit this character in the comics. I'll be very annoyed. And that's all I'll say on that, because I don't want to spoil anything going forward, because I do get my hands on the previews and I have read the solicits, and I now, knowing that these are kind of like more intertwined than ever, for better or worse.
I don't know. I just think that the fact that we are going so hard into multiversal storylines in the MCU, this is probably Marvel just trying to capitalize as much as possible on that.
Sure.
That's
Green Arrow. Green Arrow number 20. How's this new Green Arrow run been from Chris Condon?
Oh my word, dude. It's blockbuster.
Ooh.
This run is so good. Chris Condon, man, like, I enjoyed the Josh Williamson run, but like I said earlier about like Superman being happy-go-lucky and all of those things, that run, it was everybody's all happy and everybody's smiling, everybody's laughing, blah blah blah, all of those things. Very family oriented, very lovey-dovey sometimes. This one is pure grit. This one is boots on the ground. This one is, it feels like a thriller. It feels like I'm reading a thriller. And the art just, like, it's amazing. Montas, wow. Dude, like, if you are keen to read a thriller, start with this one. It's about, I think, 3 or 4 issues in now. The writing is so good. I mean, there's so much blood in the series.
Oh,
People are getting killed. People are dying from, like, so this entire storyline. It's like the freshwater arc, and people are dying from, like, polluted water and, like, diseased and poisoned water. So he's trying to now find out who's actually doing this, who's behind all of this. But people are, like, coughing up blood. People are, like, it's brutal at times, but it's so far away from what Josh Williamson and Sean Isaac started, um, 2 years ago. And I don't know, like, you probably aren't keeping up with Justice League Unlimited, even though this is all the same, all in universe, the same character. They're still all under the same umbrella. He refers to some things every here and there, but the art over here and the art in Justice League Unlimited, chalk and cheese, man. it's it's so polarizing. But yeah, I'm enjoying it. If anybody is, even if you aren't a Green Arrow fan, if you just like a good old thriller, if you're a DC fan, pick this one up. Try it, give it a chance, and I can guarantee you will not regret it.
I am happy that the sounds like drastic change in not just tone but the visuals from the Williamson Isaacs run to this one
Yeah,
from Chris Condon and Montos hasn't like put you off any storyline. It feels like it fits for where Oliver needs to be after everything that happened in Absolute Power.
yeah, 100%. Like, I like the change of tone because, like, reading happy things all the time, sometimes you want them to push the envelope a little bit more.
Okay.
Sometimes you want them, and, like,
Yeah,
Green
no,
Arrow,
I get it.
he's a street level super. He's a
Yep.
street level hero. He's the one that's going to be taking on all these gangs and all these gangsters and stuff. You want to see that happen. You don't
Mm.
want to see him take on Merlin and time traveling and all of those things.
Yeah.
Like, no, like, give me Oliver Queen on the ground, solving crimes with the police department. That's the Oliver Queen that I love.
Okay. There you go. Green Arrow number 20 from Chris Condon Montos, colors Adriano Lucas, and letter Hassan Osmani Elau. Scarlet Witch number 9. This is from Marvel Comics, written by Steve Orlando, artist Jacopo Camagni, colors Frank William, and letter Ariana Mayer. AF smiles because he knows exactly why I picked up this issue, other than I have been enjoying the Scarlet Witch run, the second Scarlet Witch run, this quote unquote third Scarlet Witch run from Steve Orlando, because they've all just kind of like reset. Yes, this is a Felicia Hardy issue. The Black Cat, as we have known in Jed McKay's run, had at one point stolen things from the Sanctum Sanctorum. Now Wanda has her emporium full of witchy, magical, high, ridiculous power and goodness, and it's Black Cat. It's in her nature. She's got to steal something from it, in which she does. Now, there's the second underlying plot throughout this entire arc since issue 6, where Wanda has taken in a new apprentice who is not shown on this cover, but we've seen her previously. Her name is Amaranth. She is a member of the New Champions, and her whole bit is that she was at one point Agatha's mentee. Agatha kind of looked at her and was like, this one's a little much for me. I'm handing her off to Wanda because a little much. And she also may think that she may screw with Wanda at some point too, because it's Agatha. She always has secondary motives. So at the same time, Wanda is kind of bringing her throughout all her travels and adventures, learning on the job, because experience is key. That's how you learn. And at the very end of this issue, I'm not going to spoil exactly what, but Amaranth gets her hands on some wild piece of mystic artifact that Wanda had kept contained throughout many magical layers. One of the neat things about Amaranth's power set is her kind of unique special witchy ability is to almost be like a ground, like the ground almost for electricity. She's able to like absorb and contain the magic as well. So anything with a high level of magic, she is able to essentially bring it in and contain it and absorb it within herself. I think for her, that is a very interesting ability. She also is not fully in control of her abilities yet. In her timeline, Earth, I'm not exactly sure where she's from. It's part of her mystery. She is able to like look at someone, like she looked at her dad and her dad went nuts. She did that to Felicia Hardy in this issue. Now, to go back to the Felicia Hardy of it all, we all know Black Cat has like a subset of underlying abilities, quote unquote, which is she brings bad luck. What is Wanda's abilities? It's like probability, like management. When you put those two together, keyword chaos erupts, and that's where everything kind of went haywire. Very fun issue. I've been enjoying this from Steve Orlando. I really like the art here from Jacopo as well. Overall, I've been enjoying this run, and I'm still interested to see where we're going with Amaranth.
That's cool. Like I'm very like I don't think I've heard about that anything about that character at all. Not on Twitter, not on any social media or anything like that. So that's a cool little tidbit fact for me. What's Darcy still doing over here?
She's chilling. She's like, she runs the
Just
shop.
chilling?
That's kind of, she kind of owes a lot of her life to Wanda after Wanda took her in, dealing with a bunch of shenanigans in the very first arc of Steve Orlando's run with the Red Door
Yep.
plot. So she just kind of helps run and manage the shop, the Emporium. And she'll pop in every now and then, leave like silly notes, say very Darcy-esque things. Steve looks at Darcy as like the "what can I get away with" character, and she's a lot of fun.
Okay, I respect it. But Black Cat is just showing up everywhere.
Yeah, man. She was also in the Avengers book
Avengers.
this week too.
Yep. In the Avengers,
Mhm.
in Spider-Man. Okay, that's a given, but still, she's just like popping up everywhere.
Everyone
Love
for
that
her
for
own
her.
book. Bring me a Black Cat book back, everyone. Bring it back.
Who would you want to write a Black
Jed
Cat book?
McKay. That's all I want.
Okay.
Bring me another Jed McKay Black Cat run. Sorry, Jed. I know you're
That's
probably
fair.
tired of it. I know you're probably tired of it. But he just nailed it so well from volume to volume to volume. And it was a Black Cat story without Spider-Man, most importantly. So it was just excellently done. I really like Steve's voice that he gave Felicia in here. And then just to quickly side plot to that Avengers book, I did read that. Everyone's wondering why Black Cat is teaming up with Kang. Well, there's one thing Kang can give her that no one else can give her. And it was essentially going on a heist with her dad again, because Kang can bring people throughout time and everything. So that was like a nice little bit that Black Cat is still involved in throughout that arc in Avengers. So if you want more Black Cat, check that one out too, because I enjoyed that one. I enjoyed this one a bit more though, just to see the chaos of like Felicia's underlying like bad luck powers at play. It's also good to have a Black Cat book without Jackpot. Anyway, my last book of the week is sorry for the Jackpot slander. My last book of the week is Grimm, number 21 from Stephanie Phillips, artist Flaviano, colorist Rico Renzi, and letterer Tom Napolitano. I mentioned this earlier. We are both big fans of Stephanie Phillips. I really like her writing. We've been very much enjoying Before Black from Boom Studios, which has been her current book. The fairly new book. You've been enjoying her Spider-Gwen book, and I've heard many good things about her Phoenix book. Stephanie Phillips' like popularity is just soaring, which is fantastic to see. This is a book I really enjoy. This is about a girl who is essentially a Reaper. You know, when some people they die, you know, their souls get taken away, and some people when they die, they become the Reaper themselves. The Reaper is just like a big organization. We're now 21 issues of this, so I'm not going to get into the entire plot. But it's been a long keyword time since this last issue came out. It was back in like October or November. I think it was October was the last issue. So it's been quite a few months. So I couldn't quite remember exactly where we left off. However, I do remember that there is a lot of things in this book, they are the personification of either like an idea, of a god, of a concept. You have the personification of life in this book. You have the personification of death in this book. You also have the personification, keyword time, of time in this book. And this is the start of a new arc, and it screwed with me off the top because I'm reading this. I'm like, this is the first issue. What am I like? They're literally doing the first issue at the very beginning of it. All over. I'm like, whoa, did I get the wrong thing? What's going on here? And it's supposed to be a play on that little bit of multiverse shenanigan fun. Get to see different realities. What is time, space, realities, all that stuff. AF. We get deeper into that. I love the conceptual nature that Stephanie Phillips brings to this world. I also love, I know it is a rehash at the beginning, but I've always said there's sometimes she plays lyrics written throughout the pages, and I love playing that song as I'm reading it, like in the background. It's very immersive. It adds to the vibe of it all. So it's cool. And I just love the fact also, my last thing, that like with Something's Killing the Children, where you have James Tynion and Werther Dell'Edera doing every single issue. I love the fact that it's Stephanie Phillips and Flaviano doing every single issue. The consistency, especially when you're reading this in trade format, it's smooth, it's consistent, and flawless throughout.
So you mentioned like time and space and all of those things. There's no time travel, right?
Kinda, yeah. I mean, the character is time, but I do not mind it in this sense. I know
I was
there's a
going to
whole
ask,
bit
like,
with me in
aren't you
time travel.
saving?
I know there's a whole bit with me in time travel, but in this world that they built, because there's so much like living beings of concepts that you straight up have to move on from like the scientificness of it all. There is a living being of the representation of life in this book, for crying out loud, right? Like you have to like you move on from that. And there's heralds of death and a herald of life. I even remember, I think my favorite issue of the last arc was the introduction of a character named Harold, who was the herald of life.
Love that.
It was great. I love that book. And he's just like some biker dude, like some big biker dude. So cool. I just love the ideas that Stephanie brings to this series. It's so, I often say underrated. I just want more people. This deserves a level of attention and respect that Something Is Killing the Children gets.
That's a huge thing to say.
Yes.
If you
And I
can
mean that.
categorize this as like what sort of genre, what sort of tone are we looking at here?
Mystery. First of all, there's a mystery factor, underlying horror elements, but then just like high concept stuff where, like I mentioned previously, the ideas of the embodiment of the reaper of life, of death, but it is underlying like unraveling a mystery with a little bit of like actiony type of sequences throughout.
Okay, I think that's cool.
Sci-fi, I guess, is the best way to put that together, but it's not like space sci-fi. It's like mystical horror, spiritual sci-fi.
Okay, cool.
Really dig it. I really dig it. If you want to check out the first 6 issues at volumes 1 through 4, at the very least, are out in trade paperback form. So go check those out. I think if you dig any of that stuff, you'll really dig this, because I do too. So I'll do it for our reviews for the week. Let's just take a gander at what we have for next week. Let's just take a gander. There's a little book, Absolute Batman, coming out next week. It was only like the #1 most selling comic in the United States, AF, the first issue. So
Yep.
Absolute Batman #5 out next week. Also Action Comics 1083 I'll be checking out. From Mikey Way, yes, of My Chemical Romance, Christmas 365, #3. That second issue blew me away because the series went in a complete different direction than where I was anticipating it ongoing, and I'm all for it. It's about a dad who just wanted to kind of get close with his family again. He was kind of like moving away, too invested into his career type of thing. And the conclusion was at the end, or on the 25th of every month, they celebrate that day like Christmas would. You'd go all out, but you'd celebrate it as if it was for that month. So January, you celebrating like New Year's type of thing. February, it's like a Valentine's Day thing. March, it's like St. Patrick's Day, etc., etc., etc. Had to get a little creative as a couple months and do like a Labor Day, go all out for that too, right? But there's some other competitive stuff between him and a coworker who has always stolen his ideas, and the whole idea of it kind of like blew up and went viral online. Anyway, go check that out. I've really enjoyed those first two issues, and if you just kind of like some comedy but some family stuff, family drama as well, that's all for you. And my last book, this is hilarious. I think I did this episode by myself that week when Magic #1 came out. And I mentioned, I was like, I don't really know too much about this character, AF. Like, I dabble with Magic, but I don't know too much about Magic. Since then, my friend, I have gone and read practically everything with her. I started all
As
the
you
way
would.
as I would. So I went back all the way to the old Claremont New Mutants era, and I am now officially, ladies and gentlemen, into her Krakoa arc within a month. So I went a little heavy and hard for Ilyana Rasputin, and I'm very excited for the second issue, where after the first one, I'm like, yeah, cool things happen, and now I can go into the second issue. It's like, well, back in 1987. What you got?
You are on like a proper Magic kick. Don't you use as main on
Yes.
Rivals as well?
That's kind of what really started this. Bless Marvel Rivals for introducing many people to some characters, whether they are very popular, somewhat popular, like known like Magic, or even the more obscure, like, yes, my Jeff the Landshark, yes, Luna Snow of the New Agents of Atlas. Bring them all in. I'm all here for it.
Love it. I love it. I like Absolute Batman #5 as well. I'll probably only give that in 2 weeks though. And Spider Gwen, I think it's #10. That's releasing next week as well. It's for me that story arc kind of plummeted a little bit, just a little bit, but it's starting to get interesting again. So I'll probably start talking about that. Coming 2 weeks time. Yeah, probably in our episode 2 weeks time. Yeah.
All right. Well, that'll do it for our issue of the Comic Corner. Have you been playing Marvel Rivals at all?
I have been. I suck. So
It's okay. Everyone does at the beginning.
yeah, but I've actually started the Suicide Squad, Kill the Justice League, because
Oh,
it was free on PlayStation Plus last month. So I just downloaded it and I started playing it. There's a lot that I dislike about it. So
uh-huh.
I'm just like gonna continue playing, and the moment I reach a point where I really don't want to play it anymore, I'm just gonna be like, I'm done. I'm
All
done.
right. Well, if you ever want to get back onto a Marvel Rivals kick, TJ and I play every single night like the maniacs that we are. A lot of
Damon,
fun.
your night is my morning. I'm waking
Oh,
up
that's
when
true.
you guys are playing.
Perfect. There's nothing better to do when you first wake up than just get unreasonably angry at your teammates or yourself in my case.
That would probably, you and TJ would probably get mad at me. That's how bad I am.
No, I'm the only one that gets upset. TJ just laughs at me. Anyway, that'll do it for this issue of the Comic Corner. As always, everyone, go check out your local comic shop. Go to localcomicshoplocator.com to find your local comic shop. And until next time.